It's just defeat the 46 Robot Masters from Mega Man 1 through 6, so the NES Mega Man games. So we're going to be playing a little bit of Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Just going to go through just the Robot Master stages. And as they complete the Robot Masters from each game, they'll be able to continue to the next game, basically.
Wow, we have a Lek first.
Ooh. Don't know if we've seen that one yet.
That's not an established route for this game.
Well, it's kind of scary to me because the Elec Buster fight is not really easy. Unless you can get him comfortably in a loop, it's kind of scary. Ooh, and they're seeing the really fast reset. I wonder if that was actually an accident.
They may be trying to make the best of it.
Yeah,
okay, we're doing cut this time.
There it goes. So with both these guys going, I shouldn't say guys, one of them being a guy and one of them being a girl, both these runners going cut first means that they are going to be going for the early magnet beam clip, which is a little tricky, but not too terribly difficult. They'll just have to be very careful because there is a risk of soft locking. So as long as they're very careful inching into the little square where magnet beam is, it should be okay. But we'll see. We'll see when we get there. That's still a stage away.
Cut itself is a pretty straightforward stage. There's some RNG to how the little octopus batteries, the Susie's move, but for the most part, it's not too difficult. Gonna have to be careful with your health. There's a stomper at the end of the level that does, I think, 10 damage. Cassio's a little above that, so even if he gets hit here, he'll be okay.
Yeah, it takes that hit too.
This is a good warm-up stage for 46 Robot Masters because there's nothing too out of the ordinary it asks you to do. And there's you wouldn't think so because there's no slide, but there's some tight movement here and there.
Yeah, definitely. Something that the runners can also do is if they take damage, they can use the select button to cancel out their knockback, and we'll also see the select button used to maintain shots inside of bosses' hitboxes to allow them to just make the fights very, very easily manageable.
Alright, Proto's gonna grab the safety health there, which is very advisable.
Yeah, definitely. Cassio already won Robot Master in, and has that slight sort of advantage just sort of due to that slight stage select error at the beginning by Proto. So
I think Elec is just about the longest stage in 46. I think only Wave is longer. It's just a long vertical climb.
A lot of ladders.
This is where you get the magnet beam, and that's what turns Mega Man 1 completely around. Oof.
Proto having to do some really scary dodges. Oh no, and does get clipped, unfortunately.
That was almost super clutch. So Cassio has a choice here between going left and right. Left is going to require a corner jump. If you fall, you lose 12 seconds. There we go. You got it.
Second try too, not bad.
I think it's like a 2-frame window or something to make that jump. As you saw the first time, he kind of bonked his head and was able to turn around. Like if you're able to do it correctly, you know, you can fail and try again. But if you miss the wrong way, you'll fall down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the timing of it, you would think wouldn't be that terrible, but just having to go through those 3 ammos as you're coming up to that edge can sometimes be enough to just throw your timing off a bit. So you have to be kind of careful not to, because in this game, picking up ammo, even if you're not on a weapon or you're not missing ammo, it still delays your movement. So you have to be really careful of drops.
So the input Cassio did here to to get stuck like that is you have to push down and B at the exact same time, and you have to push down for only 1 frame. So it's a very, very light tap of down, and that gets you kind of stuck on the ladder in a way you're not supposed to be. And yeah, he grabbed the magnet beam without getting stuck in the magnet jail.
Having some issues getting back out of the wall though, but there he goes.
Some very specific inputs for the magnet beam grab. Like doing this route is not free. Most people don't start with it. until they, get some comfortability with Mega Man 1.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna see throughout the tournament. I feel like we're gonna see a pretty even split of both Cut and Guts first, but the Guts first runners definitely won't have to worry about that skip, because that skip can be like Fasta said, it's a pretty precise input. So the trick can get a little bit stressful, especially if you're starting to miss it, and you're in a race, you're trying to do it quickly. So
now you see what happens when you go to the right on Proto's screen.
Yeah.
You just wait for the Yoku blocks, and no risk there.
Yeah, definitely.
Cassio's got to be careful on this climb.
Yeah, so he doesn't have much beam. I don't know if he actually does the climb or not, but he's gonna have to be careful not only here, but also in this Alec fight, because Alec is very fast, so he needs to make sure he gets his inputs off correctly, because if he does the inputs right, he can do it damageless, but doesn't quite get on top of the beam. Well, his health should be fine now, which is good. Both of them have Cut complete at the moment, so you're correct on that, right? So again, seeing Cassio's getting hit by these Alec beams, and you see him, looks like the game is sort of pausing, and that's because he is using the select button, so that when he gets hit, he doesn't get knocked down the ladder. He can quickly just sort of reset that damaged animation, and then re-grab the ladder and keep climbing. But Alec is down.
You can see here on Proto's screen how difficult this trick actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important. It has to be on the exact same frame that you get your down and B press.
There it is.
And, yep, there it is, right there. And then even this, these inputs here to get into this little square are actually kind of precise. You kind of have to like move to the right a little bit.
Okay, no soft lock.
Left. But she's in and she's out, so very good.
We've got a race.
It's always a scary moment, even in the relays that Joka usually hosts. He actually has a thing set up for his relays where if somebody does soft lock, they usually just reset because it's at the very beginning. But in this setting, when it's a tournament, you can't reset, so a soft lock there would mean having to replay, because this game, the original Mega Man game, does not have a password system, so it's all in.
Very nice wrap for Cassio. So with the magnet beam, if you place it like a set distance from the ceiling, and then land on it, it'll actually zip you. There's some very interesting physics in Mega Man 1. So here's everybody's nightmare: is he has enough beam because he was able to collect the refill, but having to do that platform section without magnet beam is.
Oh no, he's only got one left now too.
Like if I was him, I might have just done the Yokus there to save the beam for the platforms, but
yeah, riding these platforms like Fasto was just alluding to is not fun at all. You see him saving this one. It's probably a really wise choice. As long as he can get to the middle of this open room, he can get the refill there, which is really helpful to finish off the stage. So. Oh, now he's gonna have to go. Yep,
that honestly might not be for the worst at this point.
I was gonna say that might be actually better. Because he does
get a refill on your magnet beam, and yeah, you can just get a nice fresh look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're pretty close now.
Yeah, just like that.
That's Mega Man 1 for you.
But yeah, pretty much the way this game works, there's to go fast. A lot of times, you're almost trying to get, like Fasta was saying, using the beam to try to get yourself sort of squished between a ceiling and the beam, and that sort of allows you to zip. So we can see Cassio's trying to set that up again, and he gets it. Hopefully his wrap goes well. Yep, perfect.
So the reason why that wrap you're able to do, when you load into the next screen, Mega Man 1 allows you to buffer your inputs coming into a screen. So if you hold A, you'll jump as soon as the screen loads. So he holds A and B there, and the screen loads and shoots a beam right where you need it to be, just by holding A and B coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
There's another wrap there, but you're really limited on ammo, so you don't get a ton of shots at it when you route the route the stage this way.
Yeah.
But the second one, I think the second one saves like 4 or 5 seconds. The first one saves more than that.
Yeah. Some guys will try to, like, Proto just walk through this whole water section. Some guys will actually even try to zip over some of that. The downside of walking through the water...
Oh, man. He just jumped that penguin.
Just barely made it. But walking through water, actually, you move slower, so even if you can use Magnet Beam to just walk above the water is technically a better option than walking through the water, so Proto also losing some time just in movement, walking in that screen. Again, showing that the select button is your friend in this game, because Iceman stage damage or fight damageless is actually pretty difficult to pull off. So thankfully, Cassio can just keep that elect shot inside of Iceman's hitbox and then use that select button to platform, just barely saving Proto. Oh my goodness! So some really close calls already in this Mega Man 1. I'm kind of stressing me out a little bit.
Yeah, if we're stressed out watching.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, maybe the first match of the tournament, I would imagine, probably just carries a little bit more nerves with it, especially if you haven't done something like this before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think for Cassio, this is his first tournament. He has played in one of the relays before, but sort of first experience running live against, racing live against somebody, sort of where it's maybe feels a little more important to get that win as opposed to like a weekly race where you just do them every week. Might be a little more pressure.
So the zip here from Cassio, you have to be careful not to, like bonk into. There's a little bullet bill there that if it hits you before you jump while you're zipping, you'll just fall and die. But he timed it well. See if Proto does this little zip here. Some people will set it up from the ladder.
Yeah.
There's a few zips in Mega Man 1 you can make easier to get the correct height on your Magnet Beam by just like focusing on where like Mega Man's hand is, for instance, on a ladder, and you'll make sure you get the right pixel.
I think Proto might have thought that menuing in this game was like Mega Man 2, because it looked like she tried to menu mid-jump, but unlike Mega Man 2, where you sort of reset your fall speed, in Mega Man 1 when you menu, you pretty much just fall like a rock. So
there's a lot of things in Mega Man 1 that will cause you to fall like a rock.
Yeah, so I think the only time that doesn't happen is if you pause and menu fast enough, right? You can still carry your momentum upward in a jump. But usually, if you're menuing and you're at like the peak of your jump, you're just gonna fall directly straight down.
In either way, I think it like kills your horizontal momentum.
Cassio bumping his home button there. Hi, Wii menu. The nice thing about Fireman stage, at least, like you do use a lot of beams, but there are those 2 large refills, so even for some runners that are a little more casual inclined, it's kind of a nice buffer so you can get more attempts at some of the zips if you're struggling to set them up. Ooh. Quite getting that beam in the right place there, but I'm guessing she's not going to do this zip since she didn't do the first one of the stage.
You can tell Cassio's put a lot of work into Mega Man 1. He's trying for a lot of the more difficult zip setups.
Does get that select buffer there, that was good. The mean thing about spikes in Mega Man 1 is even if you have invincibility frames from taking damage, you still die if you touch a spike, so getting hit off ladders in that spot specifically there could be pretty scary because you have to quickly re-grab that ladder before you actually fall all the way down to the spikes. So can't quite keep that shot with the select glitch, but he does get Bomb Man down anyway. Bomb is one of the easier fights, I'd say. He's just got one more.
The reason the select glitch works is like when you pause the game, for some reason the boss's invincibility frames continue to run. Yours don't. So like if you have a bullet like in your hitbox and you pause with the select, like you won't get hit again if you let it, you know, go for a second. But for some reason, and for the bosses, it works in your favor. And so their timer continues to run. And so you can, if you have a projectile that can just like stay in their hitbox, you can.
Yeah. Also, Cassio just got a 1-up drop. Somebody get this man a bingo card.
1-up drops in Mega Man 1 are
very, very rare. Yeah.
By the way, the beam setup that Cassio used to get over the gap, I think I saw first from Bad Breaks. He like kind of put the beam off to the left and then turn it right. And so if the beam's already going, you can put it through a wall and the wall won't stop it. Otherwise, like when you're shooting a beam, if it hits a wall, it'll completely stop even if you're still holding V. It's a kind of a neat use of like the game's engine.
Mm-hmm. We never really mentioned it either, but like he's going for these zips here in these hallways. He actually got, do you get one or do you get two? He got one at least in ice, so those are pretty awkward to set up. So cool that like he's actually sort of got a feel to at least go for them and, you know, not feel like he's completely getting it by fluke, I think, which is pretty cool. They're tough.
Alright, so in Mega Man 1 you actually have to grab the orb before you can switch games. All the other ones, it's, you know, as soon as the boss explodes you can go ahead and switch. So Cassio's on to Mega Man 2 with that awesome Virtual Console loading time.
Yeah. Wiimote, please get us to the right game. There he goes.
So he's going to be doing Mega Man 2 normal. Runners have the choice between doing Mega Man 2 normal or Rockman 2, which is, you know, our difficult mode. With the benefit being that in Rockman 2 you would get faster text, but everything has twice as much health. Mega Man 2 normal is the, you know, the easier of the two, but you pay it back in text.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, those get weapon screens, as everybody I think that played this game knows, are just very, very sluggish, light. Didn't really, I guess, have the technology to send more than one letter at a time.
Yeah, for flash, heat, and air, it's a literal 1 full minute between when you kill the boss and when you get control over Mega Man in the next stage. So I think Rockman 2, it's still like 50 seconds, but it's for if you're grinding attempts of the early game, I think a lot of people prefer the quicker text.
Yeah.
I like the fire strats here in Guts. I hadn't seen that before. But they seem to be pretty effective in taking out the those miners there. Pickle Man or whatever.
Cassio gets a pretty decent flash fight.
The cool thing about Buster fights in Mega Man 1 and 2 is that the bullet, if the enemy, the boss has invincibility frames, the bullet will actually travel through them rather than getting like absorbed by the boss. And so it makes it easier to kind of time shots so that like as soon as they come out of invincibility frames, there's a Buster shot like sitting right there to damage them again. Whereas like the timing is a lot more precise in later Buster fights.
Yeah, being able to keep bullets overlapped is really nice. That way you can basically guarantee that you will like get a first frame hit, assuming you put your shots in the correct spots. Ooh, Gutsman. Ooh. Notorious for dodging bombs. He's just sitting there, just jumping, really giving Proto a bad time. There he goes.
Jump right back into it.
Jumps back into it.
That is a terrible fight. I do not like that fight.
So Proto's off to Mega Man 2 after a jumpy Gutsman goes down finally. seeing an air second here from Cassio, so we won't be getting the fast air, but he will have item 2 for heat, which will allow him to basically fly over the lava and pit areas instead of having to actually do the Yoku block sections. So it'll make heat a little bit easier, but at the cost of some time here riding these cloud platforms.
Cassio claims to have picked the wrong stage. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, there's definitely, I mean, it's not hard, but things can go wrong if you go with the item 1 strats over that big open air.
Yeah,
screen.
so
But
if you try, fast air as they call it with item 1 there, and you fail it, then you don't have any flash left, and you likely, depending on where you fail, don't have enough item 1 to try again. So a lot of people at that point will just choose to game over to get their refills back.
right.
And so this is a much more stable route. Mega Man 2 damage boosting makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so unlike Mega Man 3 and onward, your damage boost doesn't necessarily happen the direction you are facing. I'm not 100% sure, but I really do feel like it damage boosts you in the direction that the enemy is facing. So if you're coming up to like these cloud platform guys or the birds or whatever, it's sort of like, I've noticed, it's sort of always knocked you the direction that the enemy you're getting hit by is facing. But in 3 to 6, obviously, once we get there, you can control which direction you get knocked back by just what way you're facing, because you'll always get knocked backwards. You'll never sort of knock you in a weird direction.
I think they say the difference between air second and heat second is like 10 seconds, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Probably depends on the strats you're doing and how fast you do them, but
yeah,
in that general vicinity.
There's definitely some riskier strats you can do. You can do the beginning of air without using flash, but it's a lot scarier because you're doing a lot of those jumps around those screws with the just Buster or item 1 equipped, and to do that fast and not lose time to the flash strat is pretty difficult. Actually, there's not a lot of room for error in a lot of those jumps, so most of the time you will never see that especially in a category like this. The only potential person that might do it might be Zoda, but even then I'm not sure if he'll go for something that risky.
Yeah, Zoda doesn't like to hold back too much.
Especially in his own game.
So yeah, we're seeing air second from both runners, which is definitely a completely fine strat. It's one thing in the Mega Man 2 tournament, it was still, perfectly acceptable to go air second, but we're talking about there, a 30-minute run. Here we're talking about one that's, a couple hours. So, those 10-second things don't make as big a difference. A lot of times it's how cleanly you can execute the strats you go for, rather than, have the difficulty of them. Yeah.
And consistency will be a big thing throughout this tournament. Like, again, if you go for strats, that are, maybe you save 2 seconds, but if the strat is harder, if it kills you anywhere, I mean, you could be potentially costing yourself more than playing it a little bit safer, so. Especially in a long sort of almost endurance run like this one, you have to be almost a little bit critical of yourself and just say, I can do this, but maybe I just shouldn't.
Cassio get the right height for the one up here?
He did.
He did, okay.
So he got that life back, which is good.
So the reason why the life is important, there's 2 places in Mega Man 2 that you kill yourself on purpose, like zips where you get ahead of where you're supposed to be and then you kill yourself to get to a further checkpoint, which leaves you with no extra lives for the rest of the run. So getting 1 extra one can prevent a game over in a bad place, sending you back to the beginning of the stage.
Man, so both runners ended up getting a legacy pattern from Airman. I just like pointing that one out. It's a specific pattern.
Usually you point it out in chat.
I know. I didn't have it ready this time, but in the Mega Man Legacy collection that was released here fairly recently, there are like boss there's like little challenge modes where you fight all the bosses and stuff. And I guess since the way it works, you kind of almost start the fight from a save state. The pattern that Airman always opens with is always the same. So I like to call that one the legacy pattern.
And it was a really bad one. Like, they picked the worst one.
Yeah. So Cassio's got all his items, so the rest of his weapon gets will be a little bit shorter now, which is pretty nice.
A lot of people that aren't familiar with Mega Man 2 may ask, like, why not metal first? Because that's the strongest weapon, or, you know, any other type of route. The Mega Man 2 route is built around getting those items, because you're going to see a lot of zips in this game, the same as you did in Mega Man 1. These ones work a little differently. So Mega Man 1, you try to, like, kind of squish yourself, as Shawnee was saying. Here, Mega Man 2, you let the items push you into walls. So the collision detection with the walls doesn't seem to, it doesn't check for Mega Man's position when he's on an item, or something like that. So you're gonna see
Cassio doing it now.
Yeah, he got his head stuck in the wall, and then he was able to trigger the zip, and he's somewhere where clearly he should not be.
Yeah, he's actually not on the screen he's on anymore. He's zipped past to some other screens, and he's essentially walked past the checkpoint. So here's one of those forced death warps that Fasta mentioned earlier, and that avoids having to do those really long sort of platforming screens where you have to normally ride.
So there's another route deviation. You see Proto going to quick third, which does Flash. I'm trying to remember in Mega Man 2 normal. Does that like one hit kill, or does it take half damage?
I think it's still half. I don't think it one hits him, but I'm sure we'll find out here, because I feel like, well, she might not use it. We'll see. She just switched to Buster, so
okay. It'd be faster to fight with Buster than with Flash.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's always half, regardless. That's interesting.
Yeah, so on normal...
This is a really tough fight because of the terrain, but
yeah,
Proto handled that like a champ.
Yeah, if Quick is one step lower, you actually can't hit him from one step higher because his hitbox is so short. But she did a pretty good job. Also got a bit of a good pattern. Like, Quick didn't do any really high jumps, so that's nice. Keeps him at a good low height to be able to shoot him.
Cassio's gonna hope for a good pattern and a quick kill here. If he jumps high, he should be able to get it.
Ooh, nope.
If he jumps across the room, there's nothing you can do. That's just pure RNG. But if he jumps straight up, your one air shooter volley can actually hit twice.
Mm-hmm.
So here, rather than... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, Proto doesn't have item 1 here, so that's why you're seeing her actually walk this section. Normally a runner would, and you'll see it when Cassio gets there after Quick, but he'll set up with the item 1. But unfortunately, since Proto hasn't done heat yet, she doesn't have that.
Those are some pro zipless strats, though.
Yeah.
That drill hallway casually, for anybody that's played it for the first time, is a nightmare to navigate, but you can tell that Proto knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, those moles like to pop out of nowhere, so runners, if they're going to be playing through that section, need to really familiarize themselves with sort of how they come out of the floor and the ceiling. Going for the item 2 ride.
Cassio setting up the first zip and Quick here.
A little bit off.
Oh, no. Oh.
Looks like he might have saved it.
Though. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, that should do it. So once you're stuck in the wall, when you're above the screen like that, you have like this 4-frame window to trigger the zip. You push A and then left, but it has to be done in kind of a specific way. Like most Mega Man 2 runners are pretty consistent with it, but it's not free.
Mm-hmm. And you're noticing he's using Flash here. That's actually a requirement. If he doesn't flash the screen somewhere, he has to get back a screen to sort of get himself fixed and back on this. Like, now he's on the correct screen. What you're seeing is where he is. But if he doesn't do that with Flash, he can't get past one of the screens. The beam will be in his way and it'll kill him. So it's very important that he does that.
Another thing you might see in other races in this tournament, some people do the rest of this quick stage. Hold on.
This is
potential
important.
For the soft lock.
Just taking his time, wiggling. He's got to be careful. All right.
Okay. It's good. If you over-zip past that door, there's nothing you can do to get out of it. There's no enemy that can kill you, and you can't progress to the next screen. All you can do is just password back to the beginning quick.
Yep.
But yeah, you'll see people actually do quick stage entirely in the dark. Cassio did something where when he triggered the first zip, he turned around and resumed the zip, which actually turns the lights back on, which some people use to make that section a little easier.
Yeah, it definitely being able to see where the floors are is a huge advantage.
Yeah, especially if you're gonna set up the second zip. You know, without a lot of practice, it's a little easier to see where you're going and not over zip.
Proto almost dodged both those large refills, but unfortunately got hit by the shrimp and it got knocked back, and she got knocked back into the health.
So that's another thing about Mega Man 2 Normal versus Rockman 2 is you get large refills from just about every enemy you kill. The drop rate is humongous.
Yeah.
Rockman 2, you'll see a drop rate that's, you know, more what you would expect to see from some of the other Mega Man games.
Is there Cassio skipping that long section we saw Proto go through zipless? Skipping the short little zip though here at the end. Should be good though.
Jumping under those clowns is not easy either, so that's...
He's got his item a little low here. Yeah, he's gonna get hit for the third one, unfortunately.
I think you can get over the clown at that height, but it takes a really precise jump. But he recovered pretty well.
Yeah. Oh.
Good fight from Proto.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing of doing Bubble not last, because since you switch to the next game on kill, this is one of the slower teleport outs. So
I think it's like 3 seconds.
Yeah, it's a little bit of extra time loss, unfortunately. But the weapon get is pretty short, just like the 5 that don't have items, so it's not like any additional time there is lost. So Cassie only got 2 more Robot Masters left in Mega Man 2. Proto entering her 6th one. So we made it to Woodman stage. Ooh, gets that item too, unfortunately, a little way too low. Oh, gets knocked off by the bunny. So normally you want to try to do a flyover.
Take 3, get on there. Okay.
Yeah.
He got a few pixels of travel out of that item too.
Yeah. Oh, wrong button again.
Don't reset.
So, yeah, he's gonna flash the dogs. This is a lot easier than trying to do the item 1 dog scrolls.
So there's a little mini zip here that he needs to get if he wants to skip the third one. He didn't get it, so he's gonna have to fight the third dog. Oh, Proto.
Oh.
I always found the zipless strats for this screen of Heat to look very, very difficult compared to, you know, in any percent you just zip past this whole thing. But this is a pretty obnoxious screen.
Yeah. The timing
I always pray that I never die
blocks.
here so that I don't have to do this part.
So Cassio's in the middle of this wood zip. So we'll see if he can get through it. Right now he's sort of, again, not on the screen, obviously, that he looks like he's on. Uh-oh. This could be... Okay. Hopefully he's okay here. I think he's alright.
That's good. Oh, does he know he's good? Oh, he's gonna...
I think he's fine. Yeah. So it's very important that you grab that ladder there. If you fall, you'll have to kill yourself and try again. But he's looking like he's gonna get through this wood zip. And again, switching to Heat so that the respawn is a little faster. Sort of a little trick. If you start charging Heat and then you die, when you release the B button to like stop charging, it will instantly take you to respawn.
So with Proto's route, she has Bubble for this fight, and you can see how quick that fight goes. The Buster fight can take quite a while.
Yeah, Heatman can be a jerk. His pattern, he can charge at you after being hit half second, 1 second, or 1.5 seconds after taking damage. So if he's a jerk and gives you that 1.5 second pattern every time, you can lose a full second each shot. that you have to hit him with. Cassio's off to his last Robot Master of Mega Man 2. Ooh, again, it's item 2 a little low. Getting knocked off. Hopefully these frogs are gonna let him go here. Ooh, okay, okay. He barely got back onto that thing, so...
I enjoy the adventure item too on the first screen of Bubble.
Yeah.
It's always a treat. Let's see if we can get this item one over. That's a difficult one.
Yeah, it's really tricky. I don't know what it is exactly, but sometimes you get the item and it looks like it's in the right spot and it just doesn't want to let you jump over the guy.
Proto shows how that first screen item 2 is done. So she's going to use heat here and just one-shot the first dog and then flash the next 2.
Yeah.
She gonna zip?
Nope. So probably won't be obviously seeing any any additional zips there. Proto, did she do any zips actually? I don't know if she did do any. I don't think so, but
this is, yeah, I mean, I think this was a zipless run.
Yeah. So there you kind of got to see the difference between the two, is what a run sort of looks like without doing them, and then Cassio doing a lot of the zips. And Cassio gets his last hit, so back to the Wii menu to get to Mega Man 3. And that is something to sort of bring up too in this tournament. Like, the runners do have the option to run on whatever platform sort of they want, whether it's on
Bubble on the
console
rabbits, I love it.
or on emulator. So switching games between on emulator can be a lot faster than on like the Wii, for example. So just game swapping here, Cassio will probably lose some time to Proto between that, but he's being able to execute some of these faster strats, which is helping him maintain this advantage. Ooh, early death in Magnet. It's actually kind of a tricky screen. Like, you're not always jumping on some of these spots. You're actually sometimes letting the magnets pull you up. So... And obviously this is the first game that has the slide, so quickly adjusting from Mega Man 1-2 physics to now sort of the more solid physics, none of that slippery movement, and the slide is takes a little while sometimes, but he's doing all right this time through.
Jumps a lot less floaty. There's a big change when you go from 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
But then even, between 3 and 6, there's just a lot of slight variations. 46 is a really interesting run, and just trying to kind of adjust and like recalibrate as you go.
Yeah, there's something unique for every game, for sure, and the runners have to quickly adapt as fast as possible because there's no real time, there's no warm-up time between. You just got to go into the next game. So these are those long screens with these that moving platform I was talking about. So Cassio was able to sort of death warp past these screens right to the checkpoint room, and Proto's having to go through it, doing the zipless strats. So Cassio has very nice second try through Magnet. He's got a lot of health. He can actually take 4 hits here if he wants to try to get these double hits. He got one. Ooh, misses a shot there. He's getting a lot of shields. Alright, he should be fine. Oh no, he slid into the magnet! Ooh.
He should be fine, he says.
So, he should be okay health-wise, going back through this fight, but he has to be careful now, because now he's on his last life. If he didn't grab one, I didn't see him get one in the stage, so something Cassio has to be aware of now is if he's going to go for some of these riskier strats, especially like single block slides and Gemini, he has to be aware that if he doesn't pick up a one-up somewhere, if he dies, he's going to game over, so to be a little bit careful now.
So as far as I know, Cassio actually started his speedrunning career with Mega Man 3.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he's worked it down to a low 36. The thing about Mega Man 3 is there's almost as many different routes as there are Robot Masters in that game. Cassio going with Magnet first. I know he's learned top first, so you know for this setting, I think he finds Magnet first to be a little safer. Those air shooters just weren't going the right way.
No. Yeah, top first has that really scary section in Shadow, and for a race setting, when you're in a long sort of, like I said, marathon-y kind of almost setup, pushing through 6 games, you don't really want to have strats that can cost you a ton of time, so this is a pretty good choice of a route for a race setting. Proto, on the other hand, is going right to top, so hopefully those more difficult strats, hopefully, if she does the actual route, don't cost her any time. But it is a very difficult screen to get through, so we'll see when she goes that way.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see any second Robot Master from Proto, though.
That's true, yeah.
I'm not gonna just assume that Shadow is next.
Yeah. Ooh, Cassio getting some unfortunate luck from some of these Met Dozers. They have not really friendly hitboxes. They kind of float all over the place, and we're not really sure how they work.
They're very ill-defined.
Yeah, you can do the same shots sometimes, and just sometimes they tink off, and sometimes they hit. So, but his health is a little low here.
Cassio's mashing is out of this world.
Yeah,
it's a very good proto fight.
Okay, he's just gonna grab the health here. So ideally, this Hardman fight has a D boost so that you can kill him a little bit faster. But he needed to get that health because he didn't have enough to take a hit. Because you have to be able to take 2 body hits from Hardman for it to work. And there he gets it. So
good fight.
If you don't take damage off the bottom of Hardman's hitbox like that, you will get frozen for a set period of time, and then you can move after. So it's not a huge time loss if you can't take the hits, but still nice to be able to keep your muscle memory and do the fight the way you're used to doing it, even if it costs some time to go get the health.
Mega Man 3 is known as a Masters game. You know, you fight Proto Man in the 8 robots 3 times, and he has 28 health and no invincibility frames. So as fast as you can mash him, that's how fast he'll die.
Proto's got to be careful here. She can't take another hit. Alright, should be alright.
I've seen so many people die to Top Man because his pattern when he goes across the room is not the same. It's the same each time, like there's no RNG to it, but he doesn't wait the same set amount of time each time he goes across, and you see people jumping early sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that first time he goes across pretty quick, and then that second time it's like you jump thinking he's going to do the same thing, and then he doesn't go, and you're like, So, yeah, like you said, you have to be really sort of alert. Oh, she is going to Shadow, so...
Alright.
We'll see what's going to happen when we get to that Parasue section. And meanwhile, Cassio going through top, he's got magnets, so these cats only take 5 hits instead of 10 buster shots, so he's able to kill those mini-bosses quite a bit faster. Just skipping out. Ooh, he does pull off 1 single block slide, but...
Oh, I missed the 1-up. I guess I'll just says the Cassio got a 1-up, that's huge.
Oh, yeah.
Is he gonna wait on this last top, or is he gonna no-stop it?
He's gonna wait it out. Probably not the worst decision.
The death there is about 40 seconds, so...
Yeah.
And if you get the jump, you save probably a second. Mega Man is full of choices like that.
Yeah. Yeah, usually the risk is almost never worth the reward unless you're literally trying to go for a really good time.
Proto's having some fun with my favorite room in the game.
Yeah. Took a lot of damage. She is into the checkpoint room, though, so if she does die here, she will respawn in this room. Oh, shoes, please.
Oh, you don't think those are frogs? Those are shoes?
They're totally shoes, man. So here we go with the Parasue section. Looks like she's just going to take Buster.
She's going to bait him out. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a little slower than the route really usually want to go, but it's, for her, probably a much better decision here, because these jumps are very tight. they're not easy to pull off.
This section is Mega Man 3's version of enemies jumping out of pits to scare you.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And you'll see when Cassio gets to that same screen, it'll be much easier for him because he's got Magnet. Magnet will track those parachutes as they come down from the top of the screen, and he won't have to even worry about them almost at all. The only thing he'll have to watch for is if a drop or so will get in his way.
Yeah, strategic death from Proto there. And she's navigating Mega Man 3's fun menus, where if your weapon is on the right and you push right and it doesn't go to it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people don't really care for the layout of Mega Man 3's menu, but when you figure it out and know how it works, it's probably one of the best menus in the original NES Mega Man games. It's very fast, and that's one of the reasons why there's so many routes for this game. You'll see when these guys get to 4, 5, and 6 that the menu is, in comparison, incredibly slow.
So Proto gets the best weapon in this game, Rush Marine. I'm hoping we see Rush Marine today.
Yeah, you never know. We might. There's a possibility of seeing it already in the next stage if Cassio takes.
If he had 0 lives, I think he'd be more likely to do it.
Yeah.
Alright, so we got Spark next here for Proto.
Yeah, doing Spark now is actually going to give her 2 different possibilities. She'll either be able to go to Magnet. Well, she could have done that, I guess. But the downside of going to Magnet before doing Needle is you won't have Rush Jet. So if you're going to do that way, you might as well be doing the Magnet first route. So it doesn't really matter in ultimately which one she does first, but she's going to want to do Gemini and Needle before she goes to finish off Magnet hard and Snake.
Running afoul of the Metdozer hitbox there.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately not at the checkpoint, so she's going to have to start this stage from scratch.
So Mega Man 3 is unique in that it has not one continuous weakness chain, but it actually has 2 separate weakness chains. There's a set of 5 robot masters that form a closed loop, and another set of 3. And so to break into one of the other weakness... I love that.
He got it, too.
So Cassio showing off probably the only zip you'll see in Mega Man 3. You get hit by the tadpole and your head is stuck in the ceiling. The game doesn't have anywhere to knock you down to, so it just zips you right through the eggs. But he missed it the first try, but he was determined to get it on the second try.
Here comes that really scary room.
Yeah, this is maybe the most iconic room of the Mega Man 3 speedrun.
All these little single blocks. Ooh, did land a little too far to the right. So Mega Man 3, you're not allowed to jump out of your slide for 8 frames, and so ooh, there's the death.
He did do his patented Cassio wiggle, though.
He did. He got that little wiggle. But so single block slides become very risky in this game if you don't have good landings. Like if you're landing too far to the right, by the time those 8 frames are up, you could potentially only have 1 frame or sometimes no frames to actually jump out of your slide. So 3, there it is. We got it.
Oh, it's a good day.
So we'll hopefully see it. Here it is. There it is. Jumping Rush Marine.
That's so good.
Plays it careful there. Waits out that dragonfly. That was smart. Meanwhile, Proto's done with Spark, so she's pretty much at this point going to have to go to Gemini now, I think. Or she'll break the weakness order, basically.
So Gemini would be breaking into the other. Okay, so she can go Magnet. So she's just gonna do the Yoku blocks without the Rush Jet.
Yeah.
So enemies in this game sometimes also have multiple weaknesses. So she just fought Spark. Spark takes 4 damage from both. Wait. No. Sorry. Magnet. Magnet takes 4 damage from Spark and from Shadow. So, kind of gives you some choices on how to fight some of these bosses.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a surprising amount of soft weaknesses in this game, like Spark taking 2 damage from Needle, and also the fact that all these bosses, not relevant in this category, but when you fight them in refights, they're actually all weak to their own weapon as well, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, we won't see that actually in this category since we don't play through the castles, but it's kind of interesting how they decided to go with weaknesses in this game. Quite a bit different than most games.
Cassio just lets Percy's dragonfly pass by.
I heard that's pretty easy to get by.
That's what I've heard.
So yeah, going through these Yoku blocks. Ooh, fell down though, so she's gonna have to try to get back up there or wait. Not equipping coils, so it looks like she's just gonna wait it out. Oh, missing another cycle. So these Yoku blocks are not that challenging, but if you fall off a few times and lose some time to that, it can definitely cost you some time. You're missing another one.
I enjoy that like each of these Yoku sections is kind of self-contained and they're introducing things. So you have one that's, you know, just pretty generic, and then you have one that has the magnet there, and then you have the one with the magnet in the pit.
Yeah.
And then you have one where you have this big open pit, and they're just kind of progressively challenging you a little bit more.
Yeah. Ooh, that jump there through the sprinkler. That was actually very close. Good thing this isn't Mega Man 6. Very, very scary. Meanwhile, Cassio into his second last robot of Mega Man 3. He's just got Snake and Spark left.
Definitely would have expected Cassio to pick up some time in Mega Man 3. He's actually got a very good time in Mega Man 4 as well.
Yeah, those are probably the 2 games he's put the most time into, for sure. Prior to this tournament, even, like, he had put time into 3 and 4.
Alright, where's Proto going?
Off to hard.
So she's leaving the weakness chain of, you know, the 3 closed Robot Master loop for the entire, you know, for the last 3. So she's gonna break into that with the 6th.
The question is where will she start? Because, I mean, ideally you would probably want to start in Gemini, but I wonder if she might just figure that it might be easier to do Snake or Needle before that.
Yeah, I find casually a lot of people do Snake first.
Yeah.
When they're getting into this, it's...
Which
you kind of have the most...
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's kind of unfortunate, because, like, you see Cassio, like, how much time Jet is saving him here, and you don't get Jet until you beat Needle, so if you save Needle for the end, you kind of lose out. Oh, Cassio, getting a cloud. Getting another cloud.
Oh, man.
Those 2 cloud platforms that he screen wrapped and generated don't cost a lot of time. It's just a few frames, but Mega Man 3 is routed pretty heavily on lag reduction, so...
Those monkeys in Hardman stage are very annoying.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid them giving me quite a lot of stress.
Here these dozers again with their awkward hitboxes.
You can actually be standing on a ledge within range of the hitbox and just be shooting shots on a level plane, and some of them will hit and some of them will not. You won't even be changing your height.
So bizarre.
This is going to be very tricky here.
Ooh. So she has an E-Tank. I feel like she should probably use it here. Yeah, it looks like she's going to. That's definitely a good decision.
Yeah, that's a good choice. A lot of people struggle with this Proto Man fight too, just because of the uneven terrain.
Yeah. Yeah, like sort of a beginner strat that I used to do when I was younger is for the flat rooms, you can sort of just stand off to one side, and Proto only jumps when he gets close to you. So when he's really far away, you can get a lot of hits in just by mashing in a corner. while he's walking along the ground when he's further away from you.
Definitely. Cassio didn't pull any punches in that one spark room. He went for every slide there.
Yeah. He must be sort of calming down. I think now that he's playing a game he's really familiar with, it definitely shows that he's
yeah, he's playing this stage with purpose for sure.
Yeah. Funny thing about this last room is doing the speed strats, I think, actually make this room easier. Just never stop holding right in that room, because those screws become a nightmare with the elevators.
Yeah, if you let them start coming down at you, there's nowhere to stand, and
yeah.
Cassio's just about done here. So Proto did choose to go to Snake. That's definitely a choice I see a lot. Snake Man's pretty easy to fight if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, actually,
definitely a lot easier than Needle or Gemini until you learn it.
Right. Snake was actually the first Robot Master I ever beat as a kid, so I don't know if that's saying that I'm good or just that Snake is bad. Probably that Snake is bad.
Shots fired at Snake Man.
Yeah, but he does have one of the best songs in the game. So
I actually really enjoy the theming of the stage.
Mm-hmm. So off to Mega Man 4 for Cassio. He's going to go with Bright first, which is a very good choice for races, because you don't really want to... Balloons don't save you a ton of time in 8 robots, but they do save you probably about at least 10 seconds, I'd say. So he's going to do Bright first, that way he has Flash Stopper for Pharaoh's screen, and he won't have to worry about that fly shooting him into the pit and missing out on the balloon. So 4, you'll see there's some times in here where Cassio will charge. First game that has the Charge Buster. The Charge Buster is actually a little bit smaller in 4 than it is in 5 and 6, so your accuracy with it has to be a little bit more on the mark. Ooh, goes for that nice little grasshopper slide.
Rush coil!
Nice.
Love it.
So these grasshoppers that Cassio is going across right now are just random, whether they jump far or short. So he got some okay RNG there. It wasn't too terrible. He's already coming into the last room, so pretty decent stage so far. And now we're seeing Proto now doing... So this is the screen that Cassio was able to jet over. And I'm kind of scared because she's she's not jumping as these cloud platforms get to the top, which you wouldn't think is a big deal, but as you can see, when the cloud platform actually grabs Mega Man, sometimes it pushes Mega Man. And it is possible...
Oh, no.
It is possible, actually, for those cloud platforms, when they actually spawn out of the building, to just push Mega Man off and into the pit. So, really fortunate it didn't happen, but unfortunately she does take that death to the little bullet, cloud bullet. So hopefully...
So the Brightman fight here is pretty interesting. Some people think that when he flashes you is random, but he'll actually only freeze you at 4, 8, and 16 health that he has. So you have to kind of manipulate his health as you fight him. If you do nothing but hit him with Charge Buster shots, you're going to hit those values. I think twice. And then he'll freeze you. So you have to hit him with...
And there it is. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, Proto didn't jump, and so the platform just pushed her off the edge.
Yeah,
So hopefully she jumps the next time she gets there. I don't know. Would this classify as a zipless run at this point? I don't know. It's like
I'm wondering if she actually went for that Woodman zip, because she jumped into that screen, so I think she might have.
Maybe. So there's that jump over that pit, and Cassio going over to grab the balloon here. So that will save him some time, mostly in Ring and Skull only. We don't really use it too much anywhere else in 8 robots. Ooh. My my monitor went to sleep. I was like, uh-oh, is my computer turning off? So yeah, you'll only see it in a couple stages, but the balloon is really useful for climbing vertical sections quickly. It's very similar to the item 2 in Mega Man 2. But the bonus is you can actually place the balloon inside of a wall, and as long as you can still sort of move towards it and land on it, even if the animation of it despawning is still on screen, you can still jump off of it. So a proper balloon jump, when executed, you actually have like a 9-frame window to jump off, which is actually a pretty big window. It's about 1/6 of a second to hit jump, so they're actually pretty easy to do. You don't have to put them into the wall, but usually it's ideal to do that because the balloons, despite their small sprite on the screen, actually have an incredibly large hitbox when Mega Man is standing on them, so they create a lot of lag. So the less you can have them on screen, the better. But we'll see that hopefully a little bit in the next stage. Maybe some balloon jumps. Proto back to the stage. She's still not jumping, so hopefully we don't see another. Okay, there she is. That's better. And something else to note, just like in Mega Man 3, we want to see them killing bosses near the middle of the room. That's the ideal scenario. And also, ooh, that mini is.
Proto, you're giving me a heart attack.
Yeah. Okay, hopefully she's home free. She's got to go over these last blocks here. Taking that damage.
Okay,
boost.
that's good.
Jump over. All right, she should be.
We got it.
But yeah, so killing bosses in the middle, and then also there's a couple pixels in every boss room in 4 where you can place yourself and skip the jump up to the animation gets. So
it's a pretty interesting fight here with Shadow Blade. He takes 2 from it, but it's really tough to fight him with it.
Oh. At least it's not a game over, thankfully. But here's Cassio going through these rooms now with Balloon. There's one of those wall jumps that I talked about. Trying to get another one here. Having some issues with these turrets. Again, because the balloons generate a lot of lag, they can sometimes make the timing of jumping off them a little more difficult, but didn't quite get far enough over. Hopefully that's not her last life. Okay, good. Just got one more try at it. Pharaoh Shot is also really unique in 4 in that you see Cassio charging it above his head. If he hits something with that charge above his head and doesn't release the B button, something that has more than 3 health, the charge above his head will disappear. But as long as he doesn't release B, he actually still has a charge ready to go. So Pharaoh Shot basically has, I guess you could call it a glitch, basically, that allows you to sometimes get 2 charge shot hits for the price of really only 1 charge, assuming that you can hit whatever it is you're trying to hit with the shot above your head. Health is looking a little low here, which is kind of scary because he needs to get through one more of these ring mini-bosses. So if he doesn't get a health drop here, he may want to just flash stopper kill this second ring mini-boss. Looks like he's going to farm to try to get a health drop. These ring mini-bosses deal 8 damage with their bodies, but their rings, when they expand, only deal 4. So he just needed a small drop, but he does get a large one, so that's good.
So you can see Proto figured out a little strategy there for Snake. She's able to get through safely. Cassio taking a little safe and taking only 4 damage from the mini-boss there instead of 8.
Mm-hmm. And that leaves him with more health here, so he can take a body hit if he needs to, which is important. Mega Man 4... bosses most of them deal 8 damage with their bodies. The only one that actually doesn't is Pharaoh. So body contact damage it's really important to try to avoid that. And there you see those 2 hits for the price of 1 going off there as he's hitting ring with the charge above his head and then releasing a full charge once his iframes wear off. So very, very quick fight when done correctly. And Proto into arguably probably one of the hardest of the 8 robot stages in 3. Gemini, pretty tough stage. Something else to note, the other really broken weapon in Mega Man 4 is the one that you see Cassio using right now. It's Flash Stopper, which you get from Brightman. The Flash Stopper, when used, it lasts... Ooh, Proto taking a death right at the end of that long first screen. But the Flash Stopper lasts for 300 frames, which is at 60 frames a second, that's 5 seconds. And that timer counts down from the moment you shoot it. And once you shoot it, you can see him, after that you're allowed to fire like lemons, as you see him doing here. However, that countdown timer actually doesn't count down while Mega Man is sliding. So if you can chain your slides together really well, you can actually make a Flash Stopper last for an entire screen, because that timer does reset once you screen transition. So you can see a lot of the run of through these 8 robots, you see the Flash Stopper actually get used pretty heavily in that regard to try to allow them to keep enemies frozen in place. But unfortunate death here in the Crusher, so he's going to have to go through this again.
See,
the Crusher in 4 is actually a lot more forgiving than the Crusher that's in Mega Man 5. In Mega Man 5, if the Crusher touches your head, basically, you die. In this game, if the Crusher touches, like, it's sort of like closer to your eye level, even maybe below that, that's when you die. And these little blocks that he's actually destroying, it's even easier on them. You can actually stand in a 1x1 tile space with those ones and not get crushed. So the Mega Man 4 Crusher is actually very forgiving, thankfully. But he's through it now. He's got plenty of ammo still for Dust and a lot of HP, which is good, because Dust is similar to Magnet in that if he gives you like sort of like that in Magnet in Mega Man 3, it's if he gives you like a shield, sort of like where he's using his magnetism to pull you in. Mega Man 4 has a similar thing with Dust, where Dust can try to suck you in, and if you damage boost on Dust's body while he's doing it, it will kick him out of that action, and it will make him decide to do a new action. It could be that he could suck again, but at least he decides to do a new action. So you see right there, Cassio on purpose taking a hit. Ooh,
Dust sucks.
Gets 3 sucks in a row. That's kind of unlucky. So he doesn't have enough HP to damage boost again, so it has to outweight that last one, but sort of a way to try to mitigate some of the bad RNG that Dustman can give you. There are some bosses in this game that are pretty random when it comes to their RNG. Like, there's not a 100% way to manipulate them. Dust is one of those ones where it's like you can stand like close to him and usually he'll jump, but even then, sometimes you'll still get the bad patterns. Ooh, not getting that jump. That Stomper. I don't think she didn't do the buffer shots, right? So
she did, actually.
Oh, did she?
Yeah, she just jumped from too far left. Cassio got the zip.
So zip. Yeah, so you can zip in 4. You can actually zip really easily in 4 by just placing a balloon anywhere pretty much around a ceiling. You can slide, and when you come off the balloon, the game will actually push you up into the ceiling. The problem is I guess you could call it a problem. The Mega Man 4 was programmed a little bit better by the developers in that they realized that was a problem, and so they made it that if you are in a ceiling or a wall, it will kill you. So to zip in 4, you actually can't just do what you do in Mega Man 2. You have to actually take damage so that Mega Man is in invincibility frames and that he will survive the zip. So you see Cassio getting himself in a very specific location in that corner where he was able to get pinched between the wall, and then right before the game pushes him into the ceiling to zip him, he gets hit by that enemy, and that gives him the iframes. Then he zips through, and he survives the zip. That one's a pretty short one. It only saves maybe about 3 seconds or so, but it's enough that it makes it worth it. And then you see like the rest of that first half of Skull Stage, you use balloons pretty heavily so that you can wall jump and climb ladders quicker.
Elder got his Snake Gemini fight.
Yeah. Yeah, the one benefit of doing Snake before Gemini is you definitely have the true weakness for Gemini Man, and is a much faster fight. One more Mega Man 3 stage yet for Proto.
Cassio's got 5 down.
Yeah, 5 robots.
Oh,
goes pretty quick. Yeah, it goes pretty quick when you once you get the strats down, Mega Man 4, it's got some pretty unforgiving aspects of it. I'll definitely agree with some people's assessments of it, but I really do feel that once you start getting comfortable with the weapons, especially Flash Stopper, it really minimizes a lot of the dangers that are in the stages by freezing enemies in place so that they can't move. And then it really comes down to just your movement a lot of the time. Ooh, gets the almond boost. Very nice. A little quick back damage boost on that fish so that he can slide through the Met. Proto taking a lot of damage again. Another death. Oh, and another game over. So taking a lot of hits through these, just damage boosting through these hedgehogs, which is probably not the best choice. Or porcupines, I guess they're not hedgehogs, are they? Because now her health is already really low and she's not even halfway through the stage yet. And Needle is actually a pretty short stage. It's a pretty difficult stage if you're not really ready for it, because there are a lot of enemies and some tricky jumps and the little needle crusher things coming up in the next screen, but the stage itself is actually pretty short, so once you sort of get a feel for the actual speedrun of it, it's not too bad. Cassio coming into the Dive Man fight. We didn't really mention it because he got through it so quickly, but you actually... So, in Mega Man 4, you can jump out of your slide fine, but for whatever reason, underwater you can't, and I'm not really sure why that is, but both 4 and 5 have a weird sort of aspect of jumping out of slides where if you're underwater, it won't let you do that, so Cassio has to be a little bit careful of his movement when he's actually in this stage, and make sure that he cancels his slides before jumping. He gets the animation skip as well, which is very nice. Saves a good second and a half here.
Shoutouts to FasterNet.
Uh-oh. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Proto into her final fight of Mega Man 3. Ooh, does get in a dual laser. Might be the first one of the race. I don't think Cassio got one. But she gets her kill, so she's going to be off to Mega Man 4 now.
Yeah, unfortunately the world record holder of Mega Man 4 is not brave enough to go for refight skip yet.
Not yet, no. Someday, maybe. So again, just throughout Drill, you're just seeing like the use of Bright's weapon in this game is just heavily, it's just all over the place. Flash Stopper is just a really... just the ability to keep enemies in place is just why not, right? And because they're not moving, they don't generate as much lag also, so it's beneficial for more than one reason. Cassio gets that nice freeze too before the turrets shoot.
Turtle going with Pharaoh first.
See if she gets this balloon jump or not.
Yeah, a lot of people will switch to Coil there at the end of the screen. Let's see what we got.
Yep, looks like she's going to. This last screen of Drill that you're seeing Cassio go through, you actually have to hit those switches. Unlike Mega Man 2 and 3, where you can progress through the room in the dark, in 4, the platforms actually aren't there until you hit those switches, so you actually really have to hit those switches so that you can continue through the room. Drill will be the largest, probably form of RNG in the run. Actually, in the entire run, probably. Every time he dives like he just did there on Cassio, it costs 4.3 seconds, so it adds up pretty fast if he decides to give you a bad pattern. Cassio's getting a sort of slightly below average pattern, I'd say. Two dives is not overly great. The worst pattern you can get on a good executed fight is 4 dives, because you don't count the first one since it always happens, but you can get 4 additional dives after that if you get really unlucky, but 2 is not the worst thing. It's a little over 8.5 seconds. Because of that, actually, that makes that fight actually really important to execute correctly, because if you miss hits anywhere, you're basically just opening the game up to give you more time loss. So usually when people learn Mega Man 4, I really recommend that they put a lot of time into their boss fights, because they are typically the places where most people lose time.
Yeah, particularly because of the amount of damage that they do. Like once you're able to fight them without the fear of death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can see they're they're pretty difficult.
Cassio gets through this first room. The rain is actually pushing him back, so he has to be careful when he jumps. Can't jump sometimes from a normal location. You have to get a little bit closer to the edge than you would normally like.
One of those jumps in particular, you actually have to cover quite a bit of distance with it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look visually very intimidating, but you have to get a good jump there.
Almost gets the one flash through that waterfall room. That was pretty close. Proto having some issues with Pharaoh. So actually, Proto is falling into a fallacy that exists in Mega Man 4, and that's if you stand further from the Robot Master, you're safer. That's actually not true most of the time in this game. Actually, usually when you stand further away from a Robot Master in this game, you're actually in more danger. Pharaoh is a lot more easy to deal with most of the time when you stand very, very close to him. So I usually see a lot of new runners struggle with some of these boss fights, and that's why, because the further away from him you are, the actually more difficult. He'll jump and throw Pharaoh shots at you a lot more aggressively. Cassio coming into objectively one of the hardest boss fights of Classic Mega.
So it's pretty imposing.
He handled that just, I mean, amazingly. Wow. So he's off to Mega Man 5. So Proto does have Pharaoh's weapon now, which can be useful. Ooh, yep. I was waiting for that guy. He's positioned very meanly. But I'm not sure if she actually fights Bright with Pharaoh. You can increase the speed of the fight by killing Bright with Pharaoh shot if you go for the double hits. But it's a little tricky, and I don't know if she's practiced that, so we might just see a Buster fight. I'm not sure. She's just going to wait for the guy to move this time. Oh, she doesn't quite jump far enough, though.
So the Charge Buster in Mega Man 5 got quite a bit of an upgrade here. You can see that it's being used all throughout this stage. The hitbox is a lot larger. It pierces through enemies. A lot of enemies in this game have 3 or less health. And if the Charge Buster hits something that has 3 or less health, it'll just continue right on through it. And so, you know, there's a lot of places where you use charge shots to take out multiple enemies.
Yeah, and it's more useful because, unfortunately, they decided that in Mega Man 5 they didn't like the idea that players could mash enemies down. And so they actually gave invincibility frames to pretty much every... I think it's every single enemy, right? Is there any
I think every enemy.
Yeah, so they have 8 frames of invincibility frames, so you can't just mash shots into enemies in this game. You can, but you'll basically be losing out on some of your shots, because some of them will just go into iframes and not actually damage the enemies. Timing shots becomes a little more important. As well, you can't charge your Buster while you're sliding, so there's definitely points where if you know you need a charge shot coming up and there's not enough room to build one, sometimes you have to stop sliding for a second just to let that Buster finish charging up and allow you to continue a little bit quicker.
In this game, unlike 4, if you get hit while charging the Buster, it erases. Basically, you have to start charging from the beginning.
Yeah.
So avoiding damage is also pretty important in order to do these screens optimally.
Yeah.
Cassio gets gravity skip.
Very nice. We start with Star. Oh, I was gonna say, we start with Star because we get the super arrow here. You're gonna see it's gonna say that here in a sec, and that's gonna be heavily used throughout the rest of the 7 robots.
Ooh, jumped over the totem pole.
It's kind of lucky, actually, because those totem poles will jump and knock you out of the air sometimes.
I remember the first time I played this stage, I was getting annoyed with this section and tried to jet over it, and to my surprise, the totem pole jumped up at me.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time I've seen somebody die to that.
So here's the super arrow. It's a weapon, but you can also ride it along the top of it, and it moves a lot faster than even sliding speed. So you'll use that as the preferred method of travel wherever you can. It does have limited ammo though, so a lot of the stages are routed around getting the most use out of it as you can. But you can use it to cover horizontal distance faster. You can use it to scale vertical sections, because you can have up to 3 of them on the screen, I think, at a time.
Yeah, it's sort of like adding the best things of, like, you know, your item 1 or balloon from Mega Man 1 or 2 and 4, but also adding like the item 2 aspect to it, where you can go very fast horizontally. So it's really, really handy. Proto taking that death. She went through that last room of Bright, actually very scary. She did the clip over from the one platform to the next, but she didn't slide, and she somehow still made it. I'm really surprised. It's actually pretty hard to do that. So she is electing to fight Bright with Pharaoh. But unfortunately, if she's not getting the double hits with the charge above her head, it's actually not any faster to do it this way. So hopefully she doesn't get flashed too much. She did skip the first flash. She's getting a lot of single hits in. Oh, here's a flash coming. And she only had 8 health left, so like we said, contact damage is very, very high in this game, and that's a game over. It's pretty unfortunate too, because Bright is one of the longer stages of the 8 robots, so having to replay it from scratch is basically saying, you know, a big time loss coming up. Meanwhile, Cassio's into Gyro, arguably Fasta's least favorite stage.
Oh, there's no arguing about it.
No?
No. At least not today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I might have a new least favorite.
Because you use Super Arrow a lot, actually, in this stage. Ooh, falling off the arrow there. Just gotta be careful. Some of these screens actually become, I guess you could say, boring, because you don't actually do a whole lot. You get your arrow in the right place, which is important, and it's a little challenging. You gotta practice getting your arrows in the right spots, but once you get that arrow in the right spot, it's just ride the arrow and continue on. So there's not a whole lot in your way in this stage, so some of the screens can maybe feel a little bit dry, but...
But then Mega Man 5 is also very punishing in the sense that, you know, if you do run out of arrow and have to do a section without it, it can be quite a bit slower.
Yeah, and it's very, like, because it's so easy like that sometimes, it can be really easy to just sort of fall asleep mentally and make a small mistake. But Cassio's getting through some of these harder screens pretty easily here, so...
You got a vertical auto-scroller. The stage just keeps on coming. All the joy.
Joy, joy, joy. So, Proto coming into this room again. Let's see how she does.
Oh, no.
She's not gonna make it! Oh.
So the trick there is if you're holding right and just walking against the edge of the platform, it will, like, continuously catch you. You can't actually walk off the edge of it. The place where she died there, if you just continue holding right, it'll actually move you on to the next platform, which is the safest way to do that. Because if you try to jump up into it, sometimes it'll kind of take off without you. And you'll just be stuck wondering where the platform went as you fall into the pit.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can activate it, like, just by, like, like you said, touching the side of it, and then you fall straight down, basically, and the platform leaves you behind, and you're kind of just sort of left there, like, well, goodbye.
The other platform's gone. It's gone back the other way. And
yeah, exactly.
You just end up reenacting a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly that. So there's the clip there. She's got to be careful.
Oh, wow. She's got that down.
Yeah, that bullet almost caught up to her there. But
oh, man, it's out for blood.
Now it's in front of her. It's right above her. No, she's going to get hit. So those platforms move a little bit faster than those bullets, and that's even though she let it go by her, unfortunately, she caught up to it, and yeah, nothing you can do at that point.
So Cassio's gonna attempt something pretty interesting here. And I'm not even sure I'm fully qualified to discuss what exactly happens here, but he dies, and then nothing happens for a while. But then when it does, you find yourself in the boss room for some reason. So basically, like, you spawn you can tell those like two enemies are walking back and forth. The one is missing the ball. Basically, you get onto the screen at the same frame that spawns, and then something happens where I don't know. It kind of like cycles through some. Yeah, like it's just some sort of like memory corruption or whatever. But yeah, he's once the number like reaches a certain spot, it just like puts him in boss quarter. There's people that can talk about it more intelligently than I can, but
it's a little over 40 seconds, I think, right?
Yeah, so doing it this way saves probably at least 10 seconds.
Yeah, instead of playing the stage. Which is kind of nice, because this is, I think, probably one of the hardest stages out of the 8 robots, so... Did Proto forfeit? I think she forfeited.
Is that a forfeit?
Yep.
We get Roll-chan?
We get Roll-chan on the other side. So, kind of unfortunate there. Some rough luck going on there in Mega Man 3 and 4 for Proto, but...
Wouldn't be the first person to quit on Mega Man 4.
I guess not.
It's a very difficult video game.
So, but Cassio still has to finish here, so he's got another five robots to go in 5, and then he'll be or 4, sorry, and then he's got just Mega Man 6 left. So.
But yeah, casually, I mean, I would consider 1 to be the hardest. I'd put 4 right after it, though. I think it's a lot harder than some people give it credit for.
Yeah, like I said, those boss fights, it's usually a big roadblock for new people. Like, you need to be comfortable, you know, not afraid to stand near some of them, because that definitely makes those fights. Some of those fights are definitely easier if you're standing right next to the boss. So.
But yeah, the difficulty, a lot of people in this tournament, may have had 1 or 2 Mega Man games that they were, very familiar with coming in and joined and try to learn some of the other ones. But it's definitely not easy what you see these runners doing. There's 6 games that have just drastically different mechanics and very different ways of playing them and playing them fast and effectively. So. Trying to be up on the strats for all 6 games is no easy feat.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, hi OBS. So this napalm fight is actually pretty cool. We'll see if Cassio can get it here. But again, impossible. Based on the distance Mega Man is from Napalm is how Napalm decides on what action he's going to do next. So if you're further away, he shoots the 3 missiles at you, and if you're closer, he throws the napalm bombs up in the air at you like that. So there's a way. You don't really want the napalm bombs because they actually generate lag when they explode. So ideally, you try to set it up in a way that you can
do a
keep
little
him
dance
in the
with
missile.
him.
You
try to get close to him and then get far. Because if you're far the whole time, he'll jump all the way across the room.
Right.
Which will make him too close to you. So you try to get close to him so that he jumps short and then get away from him as soon as he does that.
Yeah. So he executed it pretty well. He put a couple shots into his iframes, and that's why he got a couple extra
lag bombs.
Lag bombs, yeah. But the fight itself, for the actual execution of the movement to get the 3 missile patterns, was executed very well. Mets in Mega Man 5, eh? So Mega Man 5 Mets, the ones that are out of ground, like these ones here he's going past, unlike all the other Mega Man games, they don't just die in one hit. They'll basically, when a Met dies in this game, it will turn into 3 little tiny baby Mets. And so killing them actually, in a lot of ways, doesn't solve the problem unless you're going to kill the baby Mets that spawn afterwards. So that's why you see Cassio actually not shooting a lot of them. Ooh, he got squeaks. Very nice. You see him actually jumping over them or just damage boosting through them because he's just trying to avoid killing them, since he'd have to kill like the 3 baby Mets that spawn afterward if he didn't. Oof. Is that arrow high enough?
Yeah.
Oh, barely high enough. Very nice.
Stone is definitely one of the more difficult stages in this game.
It's very long as well.
It's long, and there's just a lot you have to do that's, has pretty tight timing windows.
Yeah, and you notice how much faster Jet is as well in this game. We don't really use Jet in Mega Man 4, really, because we have the balloon. But for runs and stuff where you come off of a game where you're not used to things coming down that fast, and then you switch over, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I gotta be jumping almost as soon as I hit B in some of these screens. Sometimes it can throw you off. Thankfully for 8 robots, it's not too critical of a difference. So Stone...
He's the Toadman of this game.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's probably about as difficult as Toadman is in 4. He doesn't do a whole lot, he's mostly just jumps, but you have to sort of still be aware, just in case he decides he's gonna throw stones at you. I don't think he can do it like that often, really, because I don't ever see it when I play, but...
It has to do with your distance from him, so
okay.
Much like Mega Man 4, staying close is the answer.
Right. I guess that's why I never see any. I never see it.
Yeah, it's manipulable, so if you keep your distance close to him throughout the fight, you won't see it again.
That's good.
Yeah. It's one of those things when you play like a Mega Man 5 ROM hack, for instance, it's something good to know, because they may give Stone Man a different pattern, but a lot of times that trait remains.
Right.
And so, like, his stone attack might be more dangerous in the ROM hack, but if you stay close to him, you still might not ever see it. Oh, that's interesting. He did the arrow strat there from the... He didn't do it through the screen transition, he did it in the next screen. Which is a little safer to set up, I think.
It's interesting because, in my opinion, this is my favorite of the stages in Mega Man 5's 8 robots. But it unfortunately comes with probably the worst fight of the 8 Robot Masters, so as fun as Charge Man stage is to play, the fight is just terrible, and that's because you have to fight him with Power Stone. I sure hope he dedicated that chicken room. Getting that early change to Buster so he doesn't have to worry about an ammo drop. That's very nice.
You guys excited to see Power Stone?
Oh, I hope not. Nobody should ever be excited for that. So, unfortunately, Power Stone, you can't just shoot it fast. You have to shoot it and then do one of two things. Either wait for it to go off the screen, wait for all the stones to hit a target, or pause so you get rid of them on screen so you can shoot again. So see a lot of these pauses he's doing as soon as he shoots. That's to take them off screen so he can shoot right away. And that just makes the fight a little bit more manageable, so you can hit him as soon as his invincibility frames wear off. There is a faster setup where you can get away with a couple less pauses, but it's pretty precise in the setup, so you have to do the fight pretty much correctly or it won't work.
So last up in Mega Man 5, we have Wave Man stage. It's got some pretty interesting things in it, but it also has a very long auto-scroller. At least very long, but from NES Mega Man standards. There's some longer ones in later Megas.
Yeah. Yeah, for 8 robots, this is, I guess, the first... I mean, I guess you can say the one in Gyro is technically an auto-scroller as well. There's those 2 elevators, but this is sort of really the first, in my opinion, really the first one in 8 robots. Mega Man 4 does have an auto-scroller, but it's not till the castle stages, so we never ever see that in this category.
Alright, so he's going to try to... you're supposed to ride on the big bubbles all the way up to the top, but he's going to try to...
Ooh, not quite.
One on the smaller bubbles. It's kind of a tight window. Basically, you have to land on the bubble right as it's going into the screen transition.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll carry you up. You can only stand on the little bubbles as you jumped across for a very short amount of time. So you just use them to screen transition, and then you use the arrows to keep yourself, from falling.
Yeah. Not gonna skip the boat this time. probably wise. There's no reason to try to soft lock now.
There is a strat where you ride an arrow, slide on the arrow, and jump over the boat into the screen transition, and then you can actually walk on water in this section. And not only that, then you can just walk off the screen and just hide from these enemies. The risk there is that if you jump over the boat but don't make the screen transition, the game does not know what to do, and Mega Man will just jump away, and you'll never regain control of him, and it'll be a soft lock. You'll have to reset your game. But yeah, this is an underwhelming auto-scroller. That said, if you actually don't learn where all the enemies are coming, it's easy to take a lot of damage here, and then the weapon you have to fight Wave Man with will probably cause you to take damage during the fight. So you have to be a little bit careful of your health in this stage as well. The Mega Man 5-8 Robot Master route doesn't come with an E-Tank either, so you don't really have that bailout option like you do in some of the other games. You know, Mega Man 3 puts an E-Tank right in your way, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, and then in 4 you can get lucky sometimes from Eddie. Same in 6, although 6 has a few E-Tanks you can pick up along the way as well, so that aren't terribly far out of the way.
Cassio's actually going to start this fight off with Buster. But he didn't get the lemon.
Yeah.
This is going to be... Yeah, he's just going to take the death here.
Alright.
So he didn't want to waste his charge kick and then die, and then have to fight Wave Man again without charge kick. So now he can do this fight as, you know, as intended with a full health bar.
Yeah.
And I enjoy seeing the strategic deaths.
Yeah. He doesn't have to worry about now time really anymore. He just has to finish, so...
And there's Mega Man 5.
There it is.
Looks like he's on track for a sub 2 hour here.
Yeah, that's solid too.
Yeah. So Cassio's in the so-called group of death, where, you know, sub 2 hour might not necessarily even carry you out.
Yeah.
There's some very good runners in this group.
So Mega Man 6, there's not really a whole lot of route options here. Most will probably be starting in Wind, which there we see him going there. You can start with Flame, but the boss fight with Buster on Flame is a little bit trickier than with Wind, so it makes more sense to just start with Wind, because doing Wind 8th, it doesn't really save any time to have the other weapons in your arsenal, so you might as well just do Wind first, and then you'll have the weakness for Flame, making it really easy. I know Terex looked into a Night first route for a while, that I know he's still not, I don't think, completely given up yet. I think he wants to look at that again at some point, but right now, sort of Wind first is the standard route for this game. Pretty decent improv room.
Yeah, this stage can be pretty fast with Buster.
Yeah.
It definitely makes a lot of sense as an opener. It's a lot of mashing, though.
The big thing that changes now is, I guess, the biggest mechanic of this game, which is, just like in Mega Man 4 and 5, when you're underwater, you couldn't jump out of slides. Now that's the entire game. This game, you cannot jump out of a slide ever. Movement is a little bit... At first, movement really kind of feels clunky in this game, actually, because when you press A, if your slide is not complete, you'll actually come to a complete stop. And same if you turn the opposite direction, you actually come to a complete stop instead of actually moving. Sometimes when you're first trying to learn this game and trying to get used to the slide cancels before jumping, the movement feels a little clunky, but once the movement starts to come together, it actually looks incredibly good. Like, the movement in this game is very, very technical because of that. So
there's a lot of inputs required, because obviously every time you jump, there's another input required. You have to cancel your slide first, and to go from this game being, you know, a little disjointed and not as smooth to being able to do it, you know, all and make it look fluid is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah. especially if you're trying to use like the A button to cancel slides, because if you think about it, you have to hit down and A to slide, then you have to let go of down to hit A to cancel that slide, and then you have to hit A again to jump. And you want that jump to be, you know, not too high and not too short. So in a way, you're hitting the A button like pretty quickly, you know, sometimes like 2 to 3 times, depending on how short that slide is, really fast. And that third input needs to be, you know, long enough that you can make your jumps, you know, smooth and not, you know, sloppy, you know, too big or too short. So it's a little tricky at first, but cool to see the runners get it. Once they start moving quick, it looks really good.
Chelny, don't you just mash A?
Well, you know, that's what I've heard from some fancy pants people, but you know, usually it's all about getting that timing down. So you'll see, it looks like Cassio's got a pretty good mix of both cancels. You'll see any of the cancels where those ones, if basically you see his slide stop and he's still facing the same direction, that it means it was probably likely an A cancel that he did. Whereas if you see that he's facing the other direction after he stops his slide, it was probably a turn cancel. So that's sort of how you can tell the difference when you're watching the play. Again, just like in Mega Man 5, taking damage will cause you to lose your charge. But you can now, again, just like in Mega Man 4, charge your Buster while sliding. So you don't actually have to slow your movement down at all. You can just keep on going as fast as you can.
Ooh.
Ooh. Just missing that slide.
You'll see here the deaths are very fast if you fall in a pit in Mega Man 6. Like, he just fell in, and then he was just instantly ready to go again.
Ooh.
Whereas the explosions take a little longer.
Yeah, respawning in this game is very quick, so...
And he, you know, the checkpoint here is pretty far into the stage, so he's not losing a ton of times from these deaths. He's just got to be careful. Oh, he's not holding back. There's no careful
involved there.
No, he kind of like clipped onto that ledge.
Yeah. This game is... Ooh, he got a 1-up there, so that'll be helpful.
The ledges in this game are kind of suggestions.
Yeah, sometimes you can look like you land on a ledge, and the game will just say, nope, and it'll push you off. Kind of unfortunate death there again, like dying right at the boss door is never good, but...
This is a great speed stage, but it's very difficult if you're trying to optimize it, and Cassio's really not cutting out any slides here.
Yeah. Yeah, these two tile wide slides can be pretty tricky if you're not used to your cancels. You have to have a lot of faith in your D-pad, because... especially even in a turn cancel scenario, the best case would be to press, if you're going to the right, to press left for like 1 frame and then press right again so you can jump. So you have to be very, very conscious and aware of your inputs on your D-pad so that your jumps are accurate. Again, getting that another 1-up there, those kind of couple lucky 1-ups in Flame here. As Fasta was mentioning to me yesterday, it's obvious that Flame here is weak to wind because air always puts out fire. It never actually makes them worse.
But yeah, every Mega Man game seems to do that, even the Mega Man X games.
Yeah. There's actually a surprising amount of randomness in Mega Man 6. You don't have necessarily one boss that's as bad as like Drill, but there are, I mean, basically every single boss you fight in Mega Man 6 has some form of RNG. Even Flame there, fighting Flame Man, he can do a lot of jumps, and when he's jumping way up in the air, you can't hit him, and you have to wait for him to come down. So boss patterns, they may not take, you know, up to like 12 or 15 seconds away from you if you get a bad pattern, but every single boss fight can definitely take, 2 seconds here, 6 seconds away here, and they all add up after a while, so something to look out for. Blizzard will be one of the worst ones, because he can have a pattern that can cost you, every time he rolls, he becomes invincible and you can't hit him, so hopefully that doesn't happen when we see him get to that fight.
So Blizzard stage has ice physics, which matters for your canceling. So, as Chony alluded to, you have 2 different ways of canceling your slide. You can turn cancel, or you can push A, which cancels your slide. Under ice physics, if you push left, instead of coming to a dead stop, you'll actually slide back the other way, which is usually, suboptimal for a speedrun. So on ice, an A cancel will be preferred, because when you A cancel there, you continue your momentum forward, like you kind of slip forward on the ice.
Yeah.
So in this stage, whenever there's a cancel, the runner usually tries to do an A cancel. Here Cassio will be going for bomb skip.
Yeah, totally, right? Here it is.
So you can actually slide underneath those bombs, and there's an invisible pixel that is sometimes there and sometimes not that you can slide off of. And it's not free to, slide or jump off of it, by the way. But if it is there, which you have probably about a 50-50 shot of, you can actually save like 4 or 5 seconds. Like, just bypassing those bombs entirely. Yeah. But it's completely inane to go for.
Yeah, even in like just RTA settings, there's only a handful of runners that go for it full time. Potot, who has the record in this game, doesn't go for it unless he's sort of on a bad run, sort of like his last course of action in case there's any possible way of saving it.
Cassio demonstrating the best thing about Mega Man 6, which is if you're out of ammo and you try to shoot, he still puts his arm out, but nothing comes out.
Yeah. So 5 more stages to go.
I believe Cassio busters the last screen to plant, correct?
That's a good question. I haven't.
He does.
I haven't seen if he's learned. I know he was. I don't know if he's learned the plant forms yet.
So the last screen of this stage is a particularly scary screen because the checkpoint isn't really generous, and there's just a lot that can kill you.
Yeah, it's a lot of springs, a lot of pits with fish that like to come out and get you. So, like we sort of alluded to in Flame Stage with regard to edge clipping, this can be a very scary stage because the springs sometimes look like you can land on them because of how they're angled, but they still behave like a normal one-tile square. So sometimes it'll look like you're going to land on it, but you're actually not. So the runners have to be sort of a little bit careful when they get to that screen. They don't cut their jumps a little bit short. And he didn't bother grabbing the two ammo refills, so he's likely going to be bustering that
so
last
big
screen.
Big thing about the Mega Man 6 speedrun is that the flame is an incredibly powerful weapon. Like the boss that he just killed in one jump there takes 24 hits with the Buster, I think, or something like that, 20 to 24. And Flame does 4 damage, whereas the Buster does 1, so it's 4 times as powerful to every enemy in the game. So you see that used just about everywhere.
Yeah, it's again one of the really sort of fortunate things about doing
really
Flame.
Nice. Oh,
that's all right. That's all right. Thankfully,
focused.
Mega Man 6 knockback is very short. But that's also one of the reasons why Flame first and Wind first are sort of the 2 main routes, because getting Flame's weapon early is really key to being able to kill enemies in stages very fast. Ooh, gets the good pattern, so he'll get this plant glitch very easily. Sort of a strange thing that happens in Mega Man 6 with the bosses. If the boss you're fighting has a walk pattern, so like Blizzard, he can ski, Plant will walk, different bosses like that. Knight, I think, is another one. If you stand in the middle of their hitbox, the game gets confused when the boss goes to do a new action, and it doesn't actually know where Mega Man is, and so the boss just walks around the room back and forth. It won't work on bosses that don't walk, though. So bosses like Flame and Tomahawk that just jump, it won't work on them. But for all the bosses that walk back and forth, it can work to your benefit. And it's good to do it on Plant because Plant will go invulnerable when he puts up his shield. And so if you can trick him to thinking that you're not there and he gets confused and walks around, he'll keep his shield down, and that allows you to get more hits in very quickly. So 2 cycle there is pretty ideal, what you're looking for there. And again, just showing that strength of Flame.
Yeah, just torching these mini bosses.
Yeah, those Coltons have 6 health, and so because of that, Flame will kill them in 2 hits. Looking like a pretty nice Tomahawk stage so far, actually.
was hoping he was going to show off one ladder jump.
We might see one, we might. If he does, we'll sort of explain it then, but ladders have some pretty weird mechanics in this game. Ooh, he did waste an extra flame there, so he might be short. I don't know if he picked up any
he jumped
ammo.
over... Oh.
Ooh. Alright,
he's got plenty.
He's got lots, he's got lots.
Actually, he busted the entire first screen of Tomahawk, because he took damage and then...
Oh, he didn't kill the last two. Yeah, that's right. You want to have at least 4 ammo coming into this room with flame, because you can kill all these remaining enemies with just the 4 shots. Very nice.
Smooth last screen. This is probably the scariest boss casually in this game.
Definitely, yeah.
Most
Tomahawk.
Mega Man 6 bosses don't do a ton of damage. Like, a lot of them only do, like, 3.
Yeah.
I think Tomahawk does 5, and he is just constantly attacking you.
He's very erratic. Like his like what he decides to do is random. He can either he's got the 3 actions. He can jump, he can throw his tomahawk at you, and he can fire his feathers at you. And I don't think there's any way to manipulate what he does. It's just random. And so if you're not careful and aware of him, he can give you sometimes some pretty mean patterns where he does these little jumps into you every time. So, and you have exact ammo for the fight, so you can't miss any plant shots. But he gets through it nicely, and he's only got three stages to go.
He's gonna fight Yamato Man, who has a spear in his hand.
He's gonna throw it at Mega Man. As far as I'm aware. Anyway.
I've heard that before.
Oh, takes the hit.
Something from Mega Man 6 where like every first screen is outrageously difficult from a speedrun perspective.
Yeah, there's just something that's really awkward about the movement. It doesn't matter which one it is. Ooh, so they are missing that cancel. Sliding off into the pit
but
again.
If you don't get a cancel, like you don't really have time to realize that you didn't get it, and you're probably dead.
Yeah. But again, like, you could see, like, just like Fausto was saying, like, look how fast that respawn was. Like, he fell into the pit, and it was just like, bam, right back to the first screen, so... I guess you could say it's a good thing about this game with fast respawns, but, I mean, you never want to die either, so...
In this game, though, like, a death is not always a reset, even at a very high level.
Yeah.
There have been some really strong PBs, like low 34s with deaths in them.
Like, for example, this spike pit he's jumping over right now, I've had deaths in my runs there, and it only costs you like about 6 seconds to die there and respawn, maybe a little bit more. So, there's definitely times where you'll have a really good deathless PB, and then all of a sudden your next PB has a death, and you're frustrated. This is actually the only shortcut we're going to take out of the main stages. There are different routes in Tomahawk, Yamato, Knight, and Centaur that give you letters for beat, but most of those routes are a little bit slower and longer, so this is actually the only one that we go to because it cuts out some more awkward screens.
So this is the hardest fight in Classic Mega.
Please.
It's actually literally impossible to avoid taking damage in this fight. His attacks are undodgeable.
There's definitely some times when the Mega Man 6 bosses are kind of nice in a way because they actually have a rule in Mega Man 6 where bosses cannot do the same thing more than 2 times in a row. So, for example, if Yamato he did his 2 jumps at the beginning of the fight, Cassio can then know 100% that the next move coming is Yamato's going to throw his spear at him. So it's kind of nice in some ways, like if you're fighting a boss, you can sort of have an idea of what's coming if you get like that 2 move in a row. If the boss doesn't have very many actions, you can kind of get a feel for what's going to happen. So just 2 stages left. Knight, which is actually one of my favorite stages in this game. It's my favorite song of the game. 6, I think, is kind of unfortunate that not many people played this game because I think it's got one of the best scores of the franchise. It's a very, very solid music throughout. Gets
So he
that nice
skipped a
pause.
whole, yeah, spike wall cycle.
Yeah, spike wall can be pretty tough, but you can get through it by sort of delaying by using the menu. I'm waiting for it.
He's not here.
Yeah, no big deal. So something that's kind of interesting with Spear is depending on how much ammo you have left, getting under that bullet. That's actually a very scary strat to do because
I need to learn that. That looks so good.
It looks good, but man, is it terrifying. But Spear, based on the ammo remaining, will send either your spear upward or downward. There it is. Thanks, Tarek. So, depending on what you have, some of these strats only work where your spear is up. Like that room he just did with the Mad Nerds, you actually want your first spear to be down so that it hits that first one, and then your second spear will go up, hitting the first nerd and the second nerd. So, sort of being aware of actually which direction your spear is going is kind of important for some of the strats in this game. Also, the benefit of using the weakness on Knight is Spear will pierce right through his shield. Normally, if you Buster fight Knight, you can't hit him from the front because he's got the shield in the way, so you have to hit him sort of as he's falling on, or jumping and falling sort of onto the bullets and stuff like that. But Spear will go right through, making the fight pretty trivial. The only real RNG in this fight is if he gives you jumps, which unfortunately Cassio got kind of quite a few there.
Sir Jumpington.
Yep, exactly.
So now we get Centaur, which is for some reason the water level.
Yep, final stage.
What Capcom knows about Centaur is that Centaurs like water and they like to teleport.
Pretty much, yeah. Mega Man 6's robots are all sort of based off of different sort of, not even necessarily countries, but like different sort of, I don't even know how you would really classify it, because the general story of the game is it's sort of like a Robot Master tournament, right? And so like Wind is sort of based on like China, Flame is sort of like based on an Arabic country, Centaur is, I guess, some kind of like Greek mythology kind of basis. And so they all are sort of based on their own sort of unique thing. And so, yeah, I'm not sure what they were really going for with Centaur, but it doesn't really necessarily represent an actual real thing, like country, since Centaurs are not actual real people or things.
Should be noted that Mega Man 6's water physics feels very different than the other games. It takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, like when you release the A button, sometimes you just sort of drop like a lot faster than normal, so it's kind of strange. You don't really like float upward when you release the A button. You kind of just sort of hang and start falling downward almost right away.
Sure, like it's definitely consistent within the game, but at the same time, like if you're coming here after 4 and 5 and used to those water physics, like you're gonna get something totally different. It's easy to short jumps.
Yep. Yeah, there's my Centaur racism, I guess, popping through. Sorry about that. So we'll see if Cassio goes for a ladder jump. This is really the last place he can pull one off if he does go for it. And he's gonna do it. No, maybe not.
Oh, he's trying it the hard way.
He's trying it. So there's a weird thing. I'll try to explain it as he's doing this. In Mega Man 6, if you climb to the bottom of the ladder by not releasing the A button, if you just climb to the bottom of the ladder, you'll get actually 3 frames where Mega Man appears in the standing animation. And similar to like how a neon works in the Mega Man X games, like Mega Man X2 and Mega Man X3, in those standing frames, you can actually jump. So ideally what you do is you would grab the ladder by hitting up, then you would press down until you see Mega Man release the ladder, let go of down, and press A in those 3 frames. And that allows you to actually jump off of the bottom of the ladder. It's actually, like I said, it's a pretty tight window, so it's not easy, but really cool that he went for it and he got one. So that's it. Cassio is finished. RaceBot got him with a 1 hour, 58 minute, and 53 seconds. So solid.
GG Cassio.
GG.
Frizzy, if you're still there, you need to teach Cassio how to do the easy ladder jump.
Yeah.
But yeah, good run from Cassio. Sub 2 hours is a very good time.
Definitely, yeah. I'd say, like, I mean, other than the fact he's in, like you were saying, a kind of a really rough pool, there's some pretty good runners in his pool. I'd say most people that can average sort of that sub 2 hour time are going to make it into the bracket afterward. An out of pool play.
All right, so I think I'm gonna sign off and start getting ready for my race.
For sure. Is that starting here right away? I'm not sure. You were scheduled to play at...
It's supposed to be 15 minutes ago. They may need some setup time, but
Okay.
Either way, I should probably pick up a controller.
Cool. So well, that should be starting here pretty quick. So we'll have another race for you guys coming up.
But yeah, it's a pleasure commentating with you. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of fun. We'll hopefully get to do a few more as the tournament goes on.
Sounds good. All right, take it easy.
Awesome.
And I was testing it the other day, and it was probably fine then. What? I didn't really change anything? My mic might be a little poppy.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Alright. So I think they're about to start. I don't know if we're on stream yet or not.
We are.
Okay, awesome, cool. Hi, I'm Colonel Fatso.
I am Dark Terex.
We're going to be commentating